Well, guys, how you feeling about that? The U.S. Played Wales to a tie today, 1-1 draw. I was excited by the time we kicked off. I was hyped. I finally started to feel that excitement that I expect to feel during the World Cup. First match in 8 years. Um, uh, but the way the game played out, it's hard to not feel disappointed right now, right? I'm not going to try to recap the whole thing or break down analysis or anything like that because I'm expecting anybody's interested enough probably has already looked all that up, or you certainly can if you want to dive deeper. But I'm just kind of giving you my gut reactions, my like surface level observations. I want to share that with you. I do think, I mean, I have to say objectively that I believe justice is served by the result. It seems like a draw is the proper result for how this game played out. The U.S. Completely dominated the first half. One of the most complete halves of soccer that I've seen from us in a long time. It was a really, really good first half. I don't know what we could have asked for more, other than maybe a couple of showing a little bit more restraint on some of those tackles. I think the ref was definitely inconsistent with how he called the game. I think that's a talking point coming out of this match. That said, the tackle that where Dest picked up the yellow card early in the match, well, I think was deserved, and I think that was a sloppy play from him. And then ultimately at the end of the match, Walker Zimmerman also he made a dumb play, and it absolutely deserved to be called a penalty. But that came in the second half. The first half I thought was nearly perfect, and then it's a tale of two halves because Wales made the adjustment and came out, and it was a totally different ball game in the second half. I talked about how Wales' game plan was going to be to sit low and try to hit on the counter, and that we need to be prepared for it. I also suggested that we needed to think about who we were starting on defense in terms of who would be least susceptible to counterattacks. I was making the argument that sitting Ream and Dest in favor of Long and either Scally or Moore would be the way to go to have responsibility to kill those counterattack opportunities for Wales. Well, I was wrong. And Wales, I mean, Berhalter went with his top choice 11, which I agree includes Dest and Ream for this squad, and they did great. Like they were prepared for that game plan, and they squashed it. I mean, I don't remember a single like threatening counterattack from Wales in the first half at all. And Ream was fantastic in this game. Dest had a solid game other than that early yellow card, and and we were prepared, and we did it. We beat them at their game. They they played the way we expected them to play in the first half, and we snuffed them out. We dominated possession, and we didn't allow counterattacks to happen, and we ended up 1-0 at the break, and easily could have been 2-0. Josh Sargent had a header glance off the post, and so going to halftime feeling really excited. A couple of notes about the lineup. Not only did I get Dest and Ream wrong, I suggested that maybe Jesus Ferreira would start at top. And I was thinking Reyna or Aronson on the wing. I think I was saying Aronson in the middle for McKennie. None of that happened. And that's okay because really, so the other, I was trying to think situationally and like, what about the way they play and who's best at that? And then I said the other argument is just put your best players out there, right? And just go for it. And that's what Berhalter did. He put his best players out there. I think of the 11 starters, 9 of them are undisputably the best choices that you can have for this squad right now. And the only place where there's wiggle room is at forward and right wing. And in this case, he played Sargent and Weah. And there's nothing wrong with either one of those guys. And I think they both had great games. But the only reason I say that there's some wiggle room is because there's other legitimate options on the bench that you can play him there. But he went with the 9. He went with his best 11, and I can't fault him for that. And here's the thing: I was saying Ferreira because I feel like his game is more about dropping into midfield, connecting with the build up, and doing that sort of thing, and that we're going to need to do that to break their back five, in order to like vacate space in the box for other people to run into, all that stuff. And that's why I was thinking Ferreira might be the better choice. As it turns out, Sargent did exactly what I'm describing on our goal. If you can recall, it is Sargent who's dropped down into midfield, and he's kind of posted up It's called hold up play. That ball comes to him. He's got his back to the goal. It comes off his chest, and he lays it off for Pulisic. And so he did. He did that moment. He had that piece of that puzzle that I was saying, well, you want Ferreira in order to do stuff like that. Well, he played Sargent, and he did. He still did stuff like that. So I don't have any problem with the way Sargent played. Of course, Pulisic just had that beautifully weighted through ball to slip way in. I love it. I love that. I love that pass in soccer. That weighted through ball that can slide someone in behind the defense. I enjoy seeing that almost more than I enjoy seeing goals. So it was a beautiful moment in the game, and it was a beautiful goal, well deserved. And then ultimately, I think it comes down to this. I think Wales made adjustments at halftime, and we did not. Or we did not. And of course, why would you make adjustments when you've dominated so much? But we also did not anticipate their adjustments, nor did we ever react to them. I'm trying to think if maybe we were slow to react to their adjustments, but I don't think we ever react to their adjustments. So what they did is they abandoned their game plan of sit counter, sit and counter, and instead they put another big body up top paired with Gareth Bale, and they started going more direct, started playing more physical, and it worked. And they dominated most of the second half. And I don't think we started seeing the ball really until Aaronson came on around the 65th minute. And I thought Aaronson added a little bit of energy and a little bit of something to the match, but ultimately he didn't have a huge impact, obviously. I am curious about why Gio Reyna didn't play. For Jordan Morris to come in late on the right wing instead of Reyna sends me a message that something's wrong with Reyna. So I want to know what that is, because if he's fully healthy, then I don't think there's any way Morris comes in ahead of him. And Matt Turner had a good game. He had a great save, and you can't blame him for the penalty kick, of course. He did get a hand on that ball, but my goodness, the power behind that penalty kick. I don't know if I've ever seen a penalty kick shot with more power. That ball just about came through the back of the net. It was in there in a flash. And he got a hand on it, and against anybody else, maybe he deflects it, but there was just too much power behind that. Of course, the foul that led to that penalty kick, you have to blame Walker Zimmerman. I hate to say that. He plays for Nashville, local to me. But it was definitely a penalty, and I think it was an unnecessary one. He didn't have to do it. If I recall right, the attacker had his back to the goal. It wasn't an imminent threat. It was just a sloppy moment, sloppy play, and it cost us 2 points. So I hate to see that, but what's funny is that I say it's funny. It's a little bit scary at the very, very end of the match with Kellyn Acosta, who basically committed the professional foul to stop Gareth Bale from hitting that bomber from midfield, where Turner, our goalkeeper, had come all the way out. The goal was wide open. Gareth Bale was loading up. He was getting ready to bomb it in from midfield, and it turns out that it was right at the end of the match. And I would have hated to have lost the match on that play, because that would have been heartbreaking. It would have been terrible for Matt Turner. But Kellyn Acosta came in and wiped him out, took the card, and prevented him from taking that shot. And what's funny about that is that Kellyn Acosta and Gareth Bale are teammates in Los Angeles. Bale came on in the middle of the season at Major League Soccer, hardly played at all, and made a very minimal impact, or at least a positive impact, for LA while he was there. And then, of course, in MLS Cup, in the 128th minute, he has that moment where he scores the late goal that ties it, and they end up winning it all on penalty kicks. So Gareth Bale ends up playing a huge part in the championship season for LA. But anyway, it's his teammate, who was just celebrating with him a week or two ago with MLS Cup, wipes him out and prevents him from killing us. That would have absolutely killed us. And I have complete faith that he would have nailed that shot. So we gave up that tying goal in the 82nd or 83rd minute, and it breaks your heart, because once it hits 80, you think we can do this. You're starting to dream of 3 points, and it just guts us. It guts us. Now we showed we can compete, but that's not enough anymore. We wanted to win this. We needed these points. It's crucial that we got 1 point. England, of course, had a very strong showing. They're now +4 goal differential. That +4 is probably going to be hard to overcome. I think England's pretty much already got this in the bag. It seems the odds are in their favor anyway. So I think it's probably going to come down to a goal differential game with what we do with Iran versus what Wales does with Iran. It could come down to that. If we lose to England, And if Wales loses to England, which you kind of have to assume all that, but if that happens, it's gonna come down to who can beat up on Iran the most. And by the way, beating Iran's not automatic. In the FIFA World Rankings, Wales is ranked 19th, Iran's 20th. So this is not it's not an easy match. It's just that out of the four, you have to assume they're the weakest, and they got beat up pretty bad today. But that doesn't mean they're a bad team. We can have our hands full. This could go any number of ways. I do think that our odds are good, and I'm happy with the 1 point. And I'm going to assume we can get 3 against Iran. And I'm not conceding England. I'm not conceding England at all. We're going to go out there hyped up, ready to play. I think the only thing that has me concerned about England, it's not their 6 goals they scored today. It's the knocks that our guys took. How healthy can we be? We picked up several cards, 3 or 4 yellow cards. And by the way, it only takes 2 to have to sit out a match. And guys were limping, and beat up and going down with cramps and all that kind of stuff. But if they can recover, they can be ready, then let's lace them up and see what happens. Because I'm not scared of England. They may beat us by 6 goals, who knows? But I don't think our team is intimidated by at all. We have a majority of our roster plays in the major, the biggest leagues in Europe. So I don't think our players are going to be intimidated. The thing is, you have to worry about that second yellow card, right? Anybody who picked up a card today, you got to worry about accumulation and being suspended for a match. But you don't worry about that. With England coming up next, you don't worry about that. As long as everybody's fit, you run your horses back out there again, and you give it your best shot again. And if someone picks up someone who's already on a yellow picks up another yellow and has to sit out the Iran match, then that's fine. We find a way to adapt to that. But you got to run everybody back out for England, and we'll see how it goes. All this does is add to the stakes, right? It just cranks up the drama. It's heartbreaking to give up the equalizer in the 82nd, but ultimately, with the way the 2 halves were played, you have to say it's justified. So nothing was decided by today. If there had been a winner in today's match, it'd be very, very difficult for the loser and Iran to end up graduating out of the group stage. But as it is, it's still wide open, and we don't need to concede England. Let's go in there and try to get some points. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, any thoughts that you have, please leave it in the comments. I'm not trying to be your source for soccer news. I'm just a dude talking because I love the sport and I love this team. It's like a sports bar conversation. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me if you think I got it right or wrong. I'm about to travel for Thanksgiving, so I hope to do another video on Thanksgiving night, since it'll be the eve of the USA England match. But I don't know what the environment's going to look like. I'll probably be like on my brother's laptop or something in my mom's living room. So I don't know what the video is going to look like, but I'm going to try to do one more before the England match. So we have to shake this off. We have to remember objectively that, hey, we got a point. Everything's still good. Everything's still there for the taking. There's no reason to hang your head and be all doomsday about it. But it's hard to shake off the feeling that today's draw was a loss. It feels like a loss for us. So, but congrats to Wales for playing a tough match and showing their own resiliency. And I could go into player by player, but I just want to say overall, I think everybody did great. If anybody had a shaky game, it would have been Pulisic with his service on set pieces. They weren't entirely good, but other than that, a strong match against a strong opponent, a justified result, and all it does is amp up the stakes for Friday. So please watch some soccer with me. We got USA versus England on Black Friday, 2 o'clock Eastern on Fox, and I'll talk to you next time.